I currently have over 400 games in my Steam library alone, and if my bookkeeping has been accurate, I've beaten less than a quarter of them. So let's fix that. Hello world, my name is Atticus, and welcome to Tales from the Backlog, a Sisyphean effort to beat every game I own. One of my favorite books is The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. It's a story where a mystery is picked at and unraveled through the perspectives of several people present at the murder. Playing through Return of the Obra Dinn feels like going through a similar novel, picking at and unraveling the mysteries of the many terrible events that befell this ill-fated ship through the perspectives of everyone who died aboard it. But not only does it feel like a mystery novel, it even manages to make the player feel like a detective. The game is, at its core, a massive logic puzzle, feeding you just enough clues for you to be able to figure the answer out. And the jaunty tune that plays when you solve 3 fates is a great reward. Surprisingly light in the midst of the dark and heavy story. But I really ought not speak more on that. The charm of this game, apart from its striking visuals, is the mystery, so it's best left unspoiled. What point is there in saving a post-apocalyptic world? The Kingdom of Land's End is in ruins. Its people, the ones that yet live, have been reduced to mindless monsters, and as a white priestess, it is your duty to soothe their suffering. Our diminutive heroine can purify those lost souls, cursed to suffer eternally, but by doing so, she absorbs the blight, the curse afflicting the entire kingdom, bringing that suffering upon herself. Ender Lilies Quietest of the Nights gives you 2 answers to what point is there in saving a post-apocalyptic world. The first, in ending A, is that there is none. The world is dead, and there is no meaning in you sacrificing your life for it. Your company so far had been spirits, and they're bound to their kingdom. You can purify yourself and escape, but you will be alone. And there is no guarantee a world remains beyond the kingdom's borders to welcome you. The second answer is that you might save even just one person. Much like our hero, this game is small. I only have 22 hours for every achievement, and that time includes when I started a playthrough much closer to its initial release that fizzled out once I reached the bottom of the well. But there's a surprising amount of depth to it. You fight with the power of spirits. Your first, the Umbral Knight, pledges himself to you at the start of the game. But every single other spirit must be conquered and purified before it can be added to your arsenal. 6 of these spirits can be equipped at any given time, and they provide a shocking depth of player expression. In addition to what spirits you bring, you can also equip relics which provide various bonuses, from basic combat bonuses like reducing the damage you take or increasing the damage you deal, to healing with every attack and even to jumping higher or moving faster. While the combat is fun and expressive, it's at its best when you solve how to fight a boss. An exploration all its own that forces you to test different builds. But once you figure a fight out, it becomes like a dance, and landing each of your steps is magic. Ulv stands out the most for this to me. He was frustratingly quick and powerful, but once I learned his patterns and how to fight him, the fight easily became one of my favorites. The maps are somber and desolate, the rotted ruins of a once great land, and the music is phenomenal at evoking those feelings. The minimap also has a lovely feature where a room will be blue if there is something yet to find, and yellow if you found everything. Instead of exhaustively checking each map as I went through, I prioritized acquiring the exploration abilities you get when you defeat a boss, like the double jump you get at the very beginning of the game, rather than backtracking every time I unlock new movement. I figured it'd be better to get everything and then paint the map yellow. That method, it does require basically beating the game, as the penultimate boss has the final exploration ability, but I found it to be worth it, and I'll probably try to adopt a similar playstyle for similar games going forward. Dark Deity actually usurped a spot on this list. Originally this entry was supposed to be non-guns, but when I saw that there was a Dark Deity 2 that released this year, I figured I ought to play the first and see if I want to try the second. And it only took me a few chapters to be convinced. Dark Deity is a tactical role-playing game, easily among my favorite genres, and it's immediately evident how much love the developers have for the classic Fire Emblem titles. But it's not just a Blazing Blade clone. Dark Deity brings its own identity. Every unit has access to 4 weapons which focus on a different stat, power, crit, or accuracy, and a 4th that balances all 3. There's no durability to worry about, just have to plan what a unit will focus on so you know where to spend your resources. There are some genuinely brilliant challenges on some of the maps. Chapter 23 stands out the most in this for me. There's a boss you have to beat and he splits himself into copies, but instead of having to find and defeat the real one, they're all real. You could fight any one of the 8 copies that pop up around the map, but each copy is flanked by 2 healers. So you can't just corner one and bully him with all your units, because 1, he's no pushover, and 2, he'd be getting 15 heals every turn. The game's not without flaws, however. It's easy to manipulate the NPC logic, at least on medium difficulty, to the extent that you can beat the final boss with little to no hassle. Make a beeline for the objectives on the side of the arena, then box the boss in with any 4 units, then position as many snipers as you have 3 tiles away, and the boss will never attack your units, as the boss will only attack at 2 tiles and cannot move, and the boss won't be able to counterattack the snipers, as the boss only has a range of 2 tiles. The start of every chapter has a refresher, which is nice if you're loading the game back up after a break, but it's just a repeat of what happened in the previous chapter's ending cutscene, so if you don't take a break between chapters, you get shown the plot and then told the plot, which is just kind of odd. It reminds me of booting up Sonic Adventure 2 and getting the in-character plot refresher, but those only happened when you restarted the game. But even with the rough edges, it still convinced me to get the second game, because it made me excited to see what the team could do with this first title under their belt. Cypher is a neat little game about cryptography, where you read about the history of encryption writ on white walls and put that knowledge to practice decrypting messages left on those same walls. I quite enjoyed my time with Cypher, but I also find the history of encryption interesting. I'm not sure how much there is for me to say here that the game itself doesn't get into without launching into a full lecture, so I'll leave it here. Cypher knows what it is and does not stray. Tyrion Cuthbert, Attorney of the Arcane, is a gem of a courtroom visual novel, and is likely the game that will finally get me to play the Ace Attorney series, since I'm not sure how long I can wait for the sequel to release. The story is told across 5 episodes, each centered around a court case about a murder committed with magic. Despite the game having literal magic in it, the mysteries are still logically consistent, since that magic has very clearly defined parameters explaining how it works. The magic is closest to a wizard from Dungeons & Dragons. Wizards have spellbooks, spells have verbal and somatic components, and well-defined effects down to what color light a spell emits. The story is interesting, the characters are great and are even greater together, and there was only one time where I felt like looking up the answer to a puzzle because I had no idea what the game wanted from me. It was also 1 in the morning, so that may have been on me. And that's the first batch of Backlog Tales. There were a lot of puzzle games, but I'm not great at those kinds of games, so it makes sense. As with any video I make, there's a nagging question in the back of my mind. Is this worth making? And honestly, I'm not sure. The core idea behind the series is simply an excuse to get me to play the games I already own, but I think these videos could also serve as a great exercise in learning how to talk about games. The only lens I'm used to is the game review, which is concerned with whether you, the audience, should buy the game. And while I think that's useful to have, I would like to be able to talk about games beyond that, how they stand on their own without being a commercial product. So I have my goal, but the other side of that question is this worth watching? And I can't answer that. I'm not you. So while I don't often make a call for comments, if you've got this far, let me know why, and would you watch another? I have been Atticus, and thank you for participating.